Thank you very much for being here. But before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time.
Do you want to talk about anything, Kanye?
I mean, do you think you're being unfairly targeted for the comments that you've been making?
Do you feel like these unfair?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, anti-Semitic statements are never good for anybody, right? It's kind of like being anti-black.
But, it's really interesting. I didn't realize that I could be considered anti-Semitic till I read one of the definitions of anti-Semitism. Look at this. The definition says, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively. This sounds like let them go by.
What was that?
All right, so it says, think about it, that sounds like the type of wording that's in the contracts, right?
Indeed.
Okay, it says, such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions.
But isn't that what you said? That Jews run everything?
And this is based on a definition that he drew from Google. I mean, I can go to any one of the AI browsers and ask them what the definition is. And these same systems were created by the same people in question. And they can't be called Semite because the people in question may be Jewish, but they're from the land of Edom. They're actually Edomites. And so that doesn't even apply. But let's say that it did. Out of all of the people who are Jewish in the Jewish community, we're talking about a handful of them that are profiting from defense contracting and are right now endorsing Donald Trump to take the presidency. And they expect black people to do the same. What this is a warning to anybody who's within the black community who's successful in making money off of the system that you better keep your mouth shut or you're going to get p-diddled. You're supposed to forget about Eric Brown, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, and a long list, George Floyd, a long list of all these abuses that they continually reported on the news. They want you to forget about it and reverse and go back the other direction. Well, they can't do that as long as everybody within the community still remembers what happened. Now, this is how they deal with it within U.S. celebrities and even on social media. But when it comes to international affairs and speaking on the international stage and what these very same people that control the media and all of our institutions of influence also control what's going on in foreign conflicts at this moment. In that silo and arena, they hide behind the fact that they're white.
I got to tell you guys, I've probably been doing this 35 years now. And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that.
The supposed campaign in the U.S. and Germany against anti-Semitism, interpreted as any statement that is critical of the state of Israel or denounces the genocide, is the latest subterfuge to champion white power. It is why Germany and the U.S., which have effectively criminalized support for Palestinians, and the most retrograde white supremacists, including philo-Semites such as John Hagee or Marjorie Taylor Greene, fervently back Israel.
Yeah, but that actually is considered to be anti-Semitic.
Right.
So I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor.
If something is true and you're making a statement of facts, it's not discriminatory by any means. They got Kanye over here backtracking because he's being punished, not realizing that it is because people are keeping their mouths shut is how they are able to maintain control. And when everybody becomes vocal about the things they're doing, then they can't control it.
Kanye's gotten into some scrapes before. Normally when he's in trouble, I pull up immediately. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me see what's going to happen first. I just want to see where this is all going.
Do you regret your statements?
Or the statements you think you should be walking back? I mean, considering...
What do you mean walking back?
Well, backing up off of them. I mean, the thing is, you've lost a lot of endorsements. People are dropping you. You're getting, vilified. I mean, you might think you're right, but I think, there's a whole world out there that's condemning you for what you said.
It is hard not to be cynical about the humanitarian interventionists, Barack Obama, Tony Blair, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Samantha Power, who talk in sanctimonious rhymes about the responsibility to protect, but are silent about war crimes when speaking out would threaten their status and careers. None of the humanitarian interventions they championed, Bosnia, Darfur, Libya, came close to replicating the suffering and slaughter in Gaza. But there is a cost to defending Palestinians, a cost they do not intend to pay. It is not only Israel which has abandoned its citizens held hostage in Gaza. There are hundreds of Palestinians who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents trapped in Gaza, and the Biden administration is making no discernible effort, as demanded by U.S. law, to secure their safety.
While Chris Hedges is saying Israel, he's talking about the same Sephardic Jewish Orthodox establishment, the bankers. He's talking about the same exact people that control our music industry, our film industry, and have control of our politicians. They are Jewish. They're not, the whole of Jewish people aren't responsible for what they do. This is a small percentage within the percentage of Jewish in the world. There's less than 0.5% of the Jewish community. A good analogy would be the transgenders, if they had control of all of our banking systems, if they had the same influence over all of our institutions as a protected class, that the transgenders were to commit a crime and just said that gay people, there's a rise in gay hate crimes, when really it's the small percentage that are hiding behind religious and state identities. But they also wield the capital and the ability to silence anybody because everybody works for them.
The industrialized nations, weakened, fearful of global chaos, are sending an ominous message to anyone who might think of revolt. We will kill you without restraint, and no one will stop us.
In other nations, that's what they do. They don't have a constitution. They don't have the protections that we have as citizens of the United States. So they just simply go in and kill them.
This right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
I can't even remember how it started. Vaguely, I remember it started with a tweet, strange tweet. It was like, I'm feeling a little sleepy. I'm gonna give me some rest, but when I wake up, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. And then he just went to bed. I was up all night worried. What is he gonna do to the Jews? I grew up around Jewish people. I have a lot of Jewish friends, so I'm not freaked out by your culture. I know a little bit about it just from hanging around. Be like, yo, let's go out at school tomorrow. They'll be like, we can't go out. It's Shana Na tomorrow. I'll be like, what is Shana Na? I had so many questions. Why do some of your people dress like Run DMC? When Kanye woke up from that nap, he went right to work. A year ago, I'd seen him on a podcast called Drink Champs. Great show. And it was an amazing appearance. Noriega and them were there, the rappers that I love, and they all had their gold chains and stuff on. And Kanye said, only millionaires wear chains. They said, what? He said, I'm a billionaire. Billionaires don't wear their money on their body. I tucked my chain and I said, oh, snap. That's right. It was a good appearance. It was fun and funny. But when he woke up, he went on Drink Champs again. This time, he was on one. He was mad about something. He said, I can say anti-Semitic things, and Adidas can't trap me. Now what? Adidas dropped that nigga immediately.
As much as they want everybody else to not be proud because it's to their detriment, they're very proud people. You'll see through the symbology throughout is all the same. If you look at red is the color of the British Army, the redcoats. That's who we fought during the Revolutionary War. The fact that red is a color shows subordinates or control for. I mean, they have control of the Russian army as well. They have control of Europe. They have control of Asia. They have control of every continent and every army. They established one at a time by creating states from the continents, countries, and then dividing them into states and step by step installing the banking system. They have control of the currency of every single country on this planet.
They are white, though most white people are not them. They are Jewish, though most Jewish people are not them. They are British, though many British are not them. They are Israeli, though many Israelites are not them. They are the monarchy. They are Freemasons. They are all these identities at one time. They are the Rothschild family.
When I started off, people looked at us that we were like we dropped in from the 18th century. We were cute, we were quaint, and we were Fiddle on the Roof. Now we're the Jewish powerhouse. We're the success story.
Do you think they stuck together when they heard what you said? Was that what happened?
Well, what I said is, hey, you know, I've had experiences where it felt like I was being teamed up on, and I didn't realize that term would be considered to be anti-Semitic. So I had a mediation with Adidas today, and I think Adidas felt like because everyone else was ganging up on me that they had the right to just take my designs. And I feel like right now, I feel like that was in Christianity. We don't say karma. We say you reap what you sow.
Christianity, he's a known Jew. Kanye West is Jewish. His kids go to a Jewish school. His children go to a Jewish school. And this is one of their own. They're making an example of one of their own publicly when financially it's not going to hurt them whatsoever. There's some kind of game being played here to use a black man to motivate the black community to change or alter their way of thinking by being a social engineer. He's saying things, specifically wording them to manipulate the black community.
None of the workshops were about how we control the banks, how we control Hollywood. No one is discussing it here.
And I feel like this is God humbling me right now because there's two things that are happening. A lot of times when I would say, oh, I'm the richest black man, it would be a defense that I would use for the mental health conversation. To say, oh, you guys say I'm crazy, but look at this, I made money. And but that is not godlike to be showing off. So if it's not godlike, then God will take that because it's all the church's money, right?
It's all the church's money? I mean, it's all the bankers' money. he keeps saying God, but when he's saying God, I'm hearing him in my head. He's referring to the bankers.
So what's happening right now is I'm being humbled. Another thing that's happening is by me being burned to the flesh every single day, it's actually proving what I had to say. So when I went to the mediation, what I want to say is, like, black people are like, okay, Lex Friedman got you to apologize, Pierce Morgan got you to apologize to the Jews, but you never apologized to us about the George Floyd comment that made us feel bad. Now the thing is, okay, JFK, they got a lot of documentaries about how it happened. So we can argue about how it happened, which I like the fact that we can do that. But regardless, when I see that video as a black person, it hurts my feelings. And I know that police do attack, and America is generally racist. And I understand that when we got to say Black Lives Matter, that the idea of it made us feel good together as a person, as a people, right? When let me say it so the soundbite is better for you guys. When the idea of Black Lives Matter came out, it made us come together as a people. Now afterwards, yes, there was some things where the money went. There were some things where it was used in order to push us to the Democratic vote. There were people behind it involved. That happened.
What he's saying essentially about JFK is that there's so much saturation that the stories have been mixed so much that you could tell somebody the truth and they could just default back to one of the previous narratives, and nobody really knows the difference, what's true and what's not true. Or at least they can lie and pass it off to where they don't really care if you know the answer. It's just a matter of making the counter accusation. But this is being said from the lens of the intelligence community. Like, that's beneficial to them. Why not just tell the American people? When it comes to Black Lives Matter, I mean, you're talking about George Floyd and you're talking about Rodney King. These are two very similar instances. In both cases where there was a violent act by the state, by the local police, white police officers, against a black male, and to this point still nothing has been done about it. Joe Biden has done nothing to try to correct it through legislation. There's been no change in legislation stating that if an officer commits wrongful murder in the line of duty, that they could be held to the same penalty as somebody committing murder one. There's not been anything. But it was intentionally done that way. It was socially engineered. If you look at who is in charge, back during that time period was before Clinton got elected. Clinton's supposed to be the voice for the minorities, and it was a very similar situation. At the very same time, they released the Jewish record companies put NWA on. I don't care if they say that Eazy-E's drug money is what elevated him. Hell, he could have been an agent prior to that and selling drugs for him. The fact is that once they blew up, he was seen at the White House. He had dinner with the president. He's a member of the Republican inner circle. It don't even matter if it's Republican or Democrat. You're talking two wings of the same bird. Both of them are playing on the same team against the citizens. This is a matter of subverting American elections. So, yeah, and they did. You don't get to make your own movements. You don't. Black Lives Matter, the Tea Party, you don't get to make your own movements. They're all created by the intelligence community, and then they get normal people to back it up because they say things that they like initially, and then once they have control of a movement, they'll tell you what that movement thinks and feels, and they'll try to direct their political actions and their voting. You don't get to create your own. If you created your own movement, it wouldn't be very long before they would send people to go infiltrate your movement and take positions at the head of it. And the fact that they put a woman there, she was probably an agent herself. I don't know if she was or if she wasn't, but she was chosen because, you know, she has a tendency to like money, and, you know, they could dismantle the movement through charges of embezzlement. And that's how they tore down the movement. It's the only movement I know of where they didn't talk about the funding of the movement, how it got created. They try to make it sound like everything is grassroots and self-funded. The same thing with Donald Trump's election. Right now, they want Donald Trump to be elected. And anybody that stands in the way of that happening, they're going to be combative with it. They're going to attack them. If they're on their payroll, then they'll make sure that you don't have a job.
Hey, y'all gonna leave me alone about my t-shirt? Because what's the point of having influence and having money if people could come up and just pinch you?
But don't you think having influence, you have a responsibility?
And that's the responsibility that I'm taking right here.
Don't you think
That's why
those
you asked that question.
But don't you think it's dangerous rhetoric to be anti-Semitic, to say all lives matter or white lives matter? I'm asking.
No, saying white lives matter, anti-Semitic. That's what you just asked.
I'm not saying that's anti-Semitic.
No, you just said that though.
No, and I misspoke. But I'm saying
no, you didn't. That was a Freudian slip.
I'm trying to correct myself.
Okay, correct yourself.
To walk around with
do you want to walk back that statement?
Exactly. Sure, I will. You got the chance to
walk back that statement.
Do you think maybe that?
No, wait a second. He's gonna walk back.
But I'm saying you're wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. And Black Lives Matter, and a lot of people think that you're being anti-black by saying
no, Kyle.
What?
Let him talk, bro. In America, black people don't take all the rights that we have that are actually given to us.
That's true.
Because we weren't given what we were promised in the first place, which was the 40 acres. Instead, we were given...
And a mule.
And a mule. Instead, we were given projects and bad food and posters of Oprah Winfrey. And also Planned Parenthood. People said to me multiple times, visit the Holocaust Museum. I said, visit our Holocaust Museum. It's called Planned Parenthood. 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and I am sorry.
Israel's Lebensraum master plan for Gaza, borrowed from the Nazis' depopulation of Jewish ghettos, is clear. Destroy infrastructure, medical facilities and sanitation, including access to clean water, block shipments of food and fuel, impose telecommunications blackouts, unleash indiscriminate industrial violence to kill and wound hundreds a day, let starvation and epidemics of infectious diseases, along with the daily massacres and the displacement of Palestinians from their homes, turn Gaza into a mortuary. Israel has killed or seriously wounded close to 100,000 Palestinians in Gaza, almost 1 in every 20 inhabitants. It has destroyed or damaged 60% of the housing. The safe areas to which some 2 million Gazans were instructed to flee in the south have been relentlessly bombed with thousands of casualties. Palestinians in Gaza now make up 80% of all the people facing famine or catastrophic hunger worldwide, according to the UN. Every person in Gaza is hungry. A quarter of the population are starving and struggling to find food and drinkable water. Famine is imminent. The 335,000 children under the age of 5 are at high risk of malnutrition. The some 50,000 pregnant women lack health care and adequate nutrition. Infants are dying in droves. Israeli political and military officials, as the South African jurists documented at the International Court of Justice, make no secret of their genocidal intent, nor of their vision of what comes next. In September, before the incursion into Israel by Hamas and other resistance fighters, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu displayed a map of what he called the new Middle East at a UN General Assembly meeting. Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem had all been incorporated into a greater Israel. Palestine had ceased to exist.
20 million blacks died to abortion and Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger with the real KKK.
Okay, so he wants to mention the KKK. These very same people created apartheid in Africa. You had white Africans selling black Africans to the colonial settlers in the United States in order to keep their farming costs cheap, because Great Britain does not produce enough food to maintain their population. And in fact, the Germans, when they attacked them, were sinking supply boats, supposedly sinking supply boats of their food that were headed for Great Britain during World War II, preventing them from having adequate food. So what we're talking about is, by providing slaves, the Sephardic Jewish Orthodox Authority at that point, who were also the British monarch and later Israel, these are all the same people, that's controlled by the bankers, were supplying them with cheap labor in order to keep cheap food in Great Britain at the time it was needed. Right now, the circumstances have changed. Well, at the same time this is going on abroad, U.S. intelligence services that were created by the Rothschild family and through their funding were subverting American people. They created the KKK to go cause havoc, to burn crosses in people's yards, to do the things to terrorize black people, and it was all about labor. And in fact, when it came to the Civil War, the Rothschild family funded the Confederate side through J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan is nothing more than a front organization for the Rothschild dynasty. They created, through J.P. Morgan, created the New York Stock Exchange in the United States using gold from the Rothschild family. This is still the same white Jewish monarchy, Freemasons. Because little does everybody know, the Freemason organization was created by these same people pre-flood, before the deluge. Moses was the first Grand Master of the Freemasons organization, and every single one of the founding fathers in the United States was a Freemason. So whether it's by blood or by fraternity. Oh, and the other thing is, a lot of people don't know, is that Adolf Hitler is a member of the Rothschild bloodline. He's one of their family, so it doesn't matter if he was Christian. He's one of their family. The Sephardic Jews sent troops, called for, funded a party to kill Ashkenazi Jews so they could expropriate all their businesses. At the end of World War II, all the businesses that were Jewish owned by Ashkenazi Jews inside of Germany, at the end of it, were all owned by Jews, the Sephardic Jews that live in the newly established Israel.
As population control, Margaret Sanger is a eugenics and is working today. The number one cause of death for black people in America is abortion. The most dangerous place for a black man today, or a black baby, black woman, is in their mother's stomach.
That we need to educate Kanye, and we invite Kanye to come to our community, and let's see.
And that is a programming that's pushed through, I got a new word for 2024, the red media. That is the red media. If you go to Apple right now, go to Apple Music. Let's load up the top 10 songs. I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing.
Absolutely.
Not just one. They're promoting black. The red media is making money off of blacks being serial killers to each other. Also misogynistic. The red media is making money off of that. And God sees it. But I understand, and I'm not judging, because the oppressed becomes the oppressor. And it is our time now. Blacks are coming into money. We are not scared anymore. And I showed you that I crossed that line. They tried to bankrupt me. They tried to say I was crazy.
He has mental health issues. The only thing I could do is bless him with a speedy recovery. He should have good health.
I have no reason to lie. My family was taken away from me. My reputation has been smeared. Get it. So let's close with a prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for the voice. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you for the experience. And thank you for the love. Because even though the real hate is what's happening on the media, and the idea of DEF CON was to get protected for a time like this, let's lead with love. I have no association to any hate group. If any hate happens upon any Jewish person, it is not associated.
If anyone was to show violence against the Israeli army at this point in time, there wouldn't be Jews here. This would be on foreign land, and it couldn't be conducted by average people. They have a pretty tight security, and it would be because of the bombings, because of what they've done.
Because I am demanding that everyone walk in love.
That's how you know he's a stooge. Because whether it be Martin Luther King, Sharpton, Jackson, I mean, there's a whole list of them throughout history. When they come out talking nonviolence, I'm not advocating either way, but what I'm stating is I find it very disingenuous or ironic that the very same people that practice violence in every other nation are seemingly at the mercy of the people, and they fund somebody and they put them in front of the black community suggesting nonviolence is the answer when it's never made any change. They give modest remedial action. Black people were given the right to vote, which they should have had to begin with. They were given the right to be acknowledged as an independent person, which they should have been given to begin with. This all has to do with labor and production. That's all they care about. And, they don't care who they got to kill to do it. They just can't play. They can't go out and start killing people on the streets unless they send somebody from the underground and say it's mafia connected, or, because they control both sides of the economy. It's like the notion that we'll ever go completely 100% cashless society won't happen, because they also control the covert, the underground economy, in addition to the corporations where they still hide their identities. They themselves practice violence in every other nation while they stick a black man in front of his own community to demand that nonviolence is the method that needs to be taken.
Even though there's been things that have happened wrong to me that made me want to speak up, that you guys saw in the past 2 weeks. You saw the power. You saw Ari Emanuel come out in public and ask, if that happened in public, what do you think happened in private? And what do you think happened in private to so many people for so many years? But what I'm telling everyone, no matter what background you are, no matter what socioeconomic class you are, walk with love right now. Do what God would want. What would Jesus do? Walk with love, spread happiness. I thought that I wasn't gonna be like MLK and stand there. There's times I felt very Malcolm X. But for some reason, God has called me to love and to ask for love. For everyone, it's time for us just to love, because love is the answer. It is the only way. Gandhi said, someone who was actually considered to be a racist, right? Gandhi said, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
In areas where we have disagreements, we discuss everything in detail and reach agreements and solve issues.
Israel is still launching large airstrikes in heavily populated areas, killing dozens of Palestinians this weekend, according to a local hospital director.
Evil is protean. It mutates. It finds new forms and expressions. It changes its face, but it's not its essence. Germany orchestrated the murder of 6 million Jews, as well as over 6 million gypsies, Poles, homosexuals, communists, Jehovah's Witnesses, Freemason, artists, journalists, Soviet prisoners of war, people with physical and intellectual disabilities, and political opponents. It immediately set out after the war to expiate itself for its crimes. It deftly transferred its racism and demonization to Muslims, with racial supremacy remaining firmly rooted in the German psyche. At the same time, Germany and the US rehabilitated thousands of former Nazis, especially from the intelligence services and the scientific community, and did little to prosecute those who directed Nazi war crimes. Germany today is Israel's second largest arms supplier following the U.S.
That statistic alone says everything. When it was Germany that was killing Jews, and the Jewish state of Israel is being supplied, the majority of it, second to the United States, with heavy bombs and aircraft and munitions, that should tell you everything you need to know that World War II was not what it appeared to be on its face.
The South African lawyers at The Hague, who compared Israel's crimes with those carried out by the apartheid regime in South Africa, showed the court a video of Israeli soldiers celebrating and calling for the death of Palestinians. They sang as they danced, "There are no uninvolved civilians," as evidence that genocidal intent descends from the top to the bottom of the Israeli war machine and political system. Racism, an attribute of all colonial settler societies, whether the British colonists in India and Kenya or the French in Algeria, pervades Israeli society.
I'm alive. We haven't had a full black community since the gentrification of Harlem and Black Wall Street, which was torn down.
Now be careful. He said Black Wall Street. There was no Black Wall Street, but they're trying to create one right now, or the semblance of one, and even a black crypto. And I'm going to let you know right now that it's the same people behind it. It's the same white Jewish establishment, the same group of people, bankers. The bankers are going to create what they call the Black Wall Street, or at least the black crypto, and they're going to suggest this now, since they're starting to elevate some black people within society, that you spend your money in these locations in order to control where the money is going. But just because they put a figurehead, they put a black guy as supposedly the CEO or head of the organization, all of the investors are all the same people that have created this mess, and they're trying to make you or convince you that you're striking back at the administration or striking back at the system when you're actually feeding it when you buy their crypto.
But I know my brothers, my engineers, my architects, my farmers are going to rise up. And if it meant they had to take me and drag me like Emmett Till in front of everyone because I whistled, I know my brothers, my engineers, and I have no reason to lie. My family was taken away from me. My reputation has been smeared. Get it. So let's close with a prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for the voice. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you for the experience. And thank you for the love. Because even though the real hate is what's happening on the media, and the idea of DEF CON was to get protected for a time like this, let's lead with love. I have no association to any hate group. If any hate happens upon any Jewish person, it is not associated, because I am demanding that everyone walk in love. Even though there's been things that have happened wrong to me that made me want to speak up, that you guys saw in the past 2 weeks. You saw the power. You saw Ari Emanuel come out in public and ask, if that happened in public, what do you think happened in private?
Ironically, Adidas was founded by Nazis. And they were offended. I guess the student surpassed the teacher. It's a big deal. He had broken the show business rules. There's just a rule, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it. Kanye got in so much trouble, Kyrie got in trouble. Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie that he had seen on Amazon. No caption on the post or nothing like that. But apparently this movie had some, anti-Semitic tropes or something. And it was some weird title, like From Hebrew to Negro or something. And the NBA told me he should apologize. And he was slow to apologize. And then the list of demands to get back in their good graces got longer and longer, and this is where, I draw the line. I know the Jewish people have been through terrible things all over the world, but you can't blame that on black Americans. You just can't. You know what I mean? Thanks for the one person that said that. A fair punishment would be he should just post a link to Schindler's List and y'all write your own captions. Kyrie Irving's black ass was nowhere near the Holocaust. In fact, he's not even certain it existed. I saw one news pundit screaming about Kanye. She said, mental health is no excuse for that type of language. Yes, it is, bitch. You can kill somebody if you're mentally ill. Listen, okay, I don't think Kanye is crazy at all. I think he's possibly not well. Well, I've been to Hollywood. I don't want y'all to get mad at me. I'm just telling you. I've been to Hollywood. This was just what I saw. It's a lot of Jews. Like a lot. But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. Doesn't mean we run the place. I could see if you had some kind of issue, you know what I mean? You might go out to Hollywood and you might start connecting some kind of lines, and you could maybe adopt the delusion that the Jews run show business. It's not a crazy thing to think, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud in a climate like this. I don't want to speak badly of because he's black, but I have to admit, he's observably stupid.
And what do you think happened in private to so many people for so many years? But what I'm telling everyone, no matter what background you are, no matter what socioeconomic class you are, walk with love right now. Do what God would want. What would Jesus do? Walk with love, spread happiness. I thought that I wasn't gonna be like MLK and stand there. There's times I felt very Malcolm X, but for some reason God has called me to love and to ask for love for everyone. It's time for us just to love, because love is the answer. It is the only way. Gandhi said, someone who was actually considered to be a racist, right? Gandhi said, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
And I'm watching the news now, they're declaring the end of the Trump era. Now, okay, I can see how in New York you might believe this is the end of his era. I'm just being honest with you. I live in Ohio amongst the poor whites. A lot of you don't understand why Trump was so popular, but I get it, because I hear it every day. He's very loved. And the reason he's loved is because people in Ohio have never seen somebody like him. He's what I call an honest liar. Well, I'm not joking right now. He's an honest liar. That first debate, I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen a white male billionaire screaming at the top of his lungs, "This whole system is rigged," he said. And across the stage was a white woman, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, sitting over there looking at him like, "No, it's not." I said, "Now, wait a minute, bro. It's what he said." And the moderator said, "Well, Mr. Trump, if in fact the system is rigged, as you suggest, what would be your evidence?" You remember what he said, bro? He said, "I know the system is rigged because I use it." I said, "God damn." And then he pulled out an Illuminati membership card and chopped a line of cocaine up and did it right at the podium. No one had ever heard someone say something that true. And then Hillary Clinton tried to punch him in the taxes. She said, "This man doesn't pay his taxes." He shot right back. "That makes me smart."
Jesus, Father God, spread the love, put the love in our hearts, and know that we are not each other's enemy, but we're all children of you. And you can bring this world to a peaceful place on earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys.
Thank you.
To the public, the P stands for Phillies because it's a baseball team. But to the people that know better, the P stands for Piru, or for pirates. And the Rothschild got their start in the shipping industry. Red is the British, was the Redcoats, and the British in the Revolutionary War. In the 90s, when the intelligence services created the gangs to cause disturbances on the streets, they chose it and they used the name Bloods. That means blood related, saying what side they're on. Only the people that had a hand in creating it would know this. Even the low-level members, they have no clue. Just like the Freemasons, our history started at the building of Solomon's Temple. So nobody ever knows who created the organization. But if you go pre-deluge, there's evidence. It was Moses. It was these same people organizing groups and movements.
The promise I made that Daddy would always be there. But Daddy been running the streets. I want you to know that I care. But Daddy been running in beef. You know that your father is fair. But Daddy gonna tell you the truth, so his daughter would never be scared. Don't go looking for no one like me.